I don't think this has gotten enough attention, the ESPN All Quarter Century team. I talked about it a little bit on Thursday, but it's just been in my mind because it's so crazy. ESPN, and not some slappies, Aaron Schatz and Seth Walder, like these guys take a list like this very seriously. It's not just some clicky list without any research. They put a lot of thought into it. But Kyle Juszczyk's on there, all quarter century, last 25 years. Christian McCaffrey's on there. Trent Williams is on there at left tackle, and Kyle Shanahan's the OC. So 25 players on this all quarter century offense. Only 8 of the 25 are active. Of those 8, 3 are 49ers. So the Niners have just under 50% of the active players on the all quarter century team. And of the best offensive players the last 25 years, 12%, it's not 12% of them are Niners. Right? It's not like T.O.'s on this list. This is not some like, oh, here's some offseason chatter. T.O., remember him? No, this is 12% of them are active 49ers. Plus, of the 4 coaches, half of them are active in the NFL. Dave Taub and Kyle Shanahan's the head coach. That is so significant. And I think, again, highlights a couple different things. One negative, one positive. The negative being how disappointing it'll be, because I think we'll look back if they don't win a Super Bowl. And you kind of know this already because Trent Williams is viewed as a great now and maybe the best, and Christian is viewed as unique. This list doesn't include Kittle, who I wouldn't have expected to make the list just because Gronk and Kelsey and Gonzalez, like the receiving numbers are so significant. And in fact, the quote-unquote practice squad guy at tight end is Antonio Gates. I read through it. I'd love to hear one of these guys talk, like how close was Kittle? Was he close? Witten maybe would have, but anyway, it's just the collection of unique talent that they've acquired. All 3 of these guys, by the way, on offense through free agency, right? Identified as that's one of my type of guys, Shanahan. I need Trent, Juice, very unique, extremely unique, and Christian, once in a lifetime opportunity when you have the chance to acquire him. He's still in his prime, which is what they did. So, I think for these guys who have really unique accolades, Christian and Trent Williams get them all the time. I don't think we quite, I mentioned this Thursday, so I don't want to rehash any, but I don't think we quite recognize, and I've been saying it for a couple of years when the Niners add a guy, like, oh, Jack Colletto's here. I'll do, like, I like, hell of a career, college career, amazing. He was a linebacker, a quarterback, an H-back. But how I'm not going to say impossible, but how I think it's probably nearly impossible to really recreate Kyle Juszczyk again. So anyway, I think that needs to be said. He plays a lot. He's special. He really is special. But I think it'll highlight kind of, you look back, you go, there's multiple Hall of Famers on offense. What if they don't win a title? So hopefully for them, Trent, we're always talking about, is it his last year? Christian, does he have it again? Kittle, I think still does. Like, can that group, is that enough? To ride again? The video of George Kittle after the first Super Bowl loss, we'll be back. You come back, you lose it again. That is taxing. To borrow, there's one of the great episodes of The Office is the dinner party where they all go to Michael Scott's condo for dinner, and him and his girlfriend get into this big fight, and they're arguing about, like, he's had multiple vasectomies because she wants a kid, she doesn't want a kid, she wants a kid, she doesn't want a kid, and he goes, snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. Do you have any idea the mental toll? I don't remember the exact number, so someone will, that 3 or 4 or 5 vasectomies have on a man? He's like losing it. And it's like this, I thought of that just now, like this mental toll of, we got there, we lost, we got there, we lost. How hard it is to get back. Is that enough motivation, for these guys? Because it really would be the final piece of, like, Trent's career, or in the long run of George's career. It'll be the only thing he doesn't have, or Christian's, or like all these guys. And the same on the defensive side. They're not all quarter century team guys. Maybe they'll be on the next one. It's tough because if you didn't make the last one in the middle of your prime, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, it's hard to make in 2050. Are we going to go all the way back to 2025 and take the second half of Fred Warner, the back end of Fred Warner's prime? Anyway, So there's that. The other thing I think that's really interesting is uh, it'd be great if you had if you had Mahomes with this group. No question. You would 100% take that. Give me Mahomes or Josh Allen or mid-prime all-time quarterback. Mahomes on this list. Will Josh Allen be on the next list? You know, he's got to win a Super Bowl at least, or Lamar, whatever. But I do think it's really cool. It's so unique. Everything about Brock is so unique. And if he turns out to be, like a 10-year, 12-year, 15-year franchise quarterback, it might get forgotten how unique every ingredient in the pot is. It's not just that he was the 262nd pick, hats available at heyguy.co. It's not just that every great, every franchise quarterback, even if you're a top 10 type quarterback, top 8 quarterback, you are an outlier. You are the exception to the rule. The successful quarterbacks are the exceptions. Kyle Shanahan's great quote from a few years ago, there aren't 32 people on the face of the earth that can play quarterback at an acceptable level. There aren't 15 really. So that, you'd be an exception to the rule at that standpoint, but to be an exception to the rule at his size, with his own, not as a number one, like all of that stuff. But to have this as an incubator is really special. Tom Brady had great players around him. Peyton Manning had great players. Mahomes has great players. Joe Montana, Steve Young, like great quarterbacks. You maximize your potential with the help of other greats. Being with other greats doesn't necessarily make you great, but I think you maximize your potential when you're around other great players, right? You think about like Brady's year with Randy Moss. Holy smokes, it's as good as it could be. So to have the opportunity to develop around greats, like we're talking about, to borrow from Jim Harbaugh, capital G greats, and take something from that and have those players instill confidence in you. I think that's a really unique part of it, is having a guy like Trent Williams, guys like Kittle, and Kittle's not on the list, but those people understand, or at least convey to you that they believe it. It's not about Trent Williams telling other people that he believes in Brock Purdy. It's about Brock Purdy gaining the confidence that comes from Trent Williams or Christian McCaffrey believing in you, or the standard that you have to have. If, we've seen it over the years, I would have like if we did a test on paper of anybody, every coach and every player that's ever played for Shanahan or McVay or Mike McDaniel or all these guys, if we did a test of the offense, everything, run game, pass game, I would be willing to bet, and this is not like some weak Harvard joke, based on watching how well he knows, how often he has corrected Ayuk's positioning, corrected Jimmy Garoppolo, helped Purdy, the fact that he's involved in the pass and run game, I'd be willing to bet that Kyle Juszczyk would grade out in the top 5, if we included coaches, of like whatever test you could put out on the offense. So, to have that standard as a quarterback, like, you better know what you're talking about, because that guy really knows. That's all a great incubator for him. So I think this list is, I'm not a huge list guy. You don't see me doing a lot of like the top 5 like, even when I did the receiver list earlier in the week, reacted to it, I wasn't interested in actually the list. So I'm not a big, like, I'm not a big list guy. But I do think, like, I wouldn't have thought of this list if you had said, "Guy, put your all quarter century team together." I would have been disinterested and I wouldn't have done it. But to see 2 guys who I know take this seriously, again, not some BS list, it is just another way. It's not about the list to me. It's just a way to illuminate, like, how rare this roster is, which is part of what makes you optimistic about a bounce back year. And it's part of what, like, will be bittersweet if this group doesn't find a way to win a Super Bowl.